Now, I haven't actually made a hockey video in a long time, probably since round 3 started. So, I have a lot to say for round 3, mostly because of what is happening in the finals. So, first off, let's talk about the Washington Capitals and Tampa Bay Lightning series. Now, going into this series, it actually looked like Washington was gonna win because they had a 2-0 series lead. The first game they played, they get a 4-2 win. Not so bad. Tampa didn't play completely like crap, I guess you could say. But then in game 2, they absolutely dump on the ice and don't do much, and they lose in 6-2 instead. Just let them score 2 more goals, I guess, rather than losing 4-2 again. I mean, they had a 2-0 series lead, and it's weird to say that they were actually able to tie it up. And or was it crazy to think that it was going to go to 7? Because you're winning 3 straight. I'm surprised they weren't going to win Game 6. My prediction was to see Tampa and Vegas in the finals. Instead, we're seeing the Capitals in Vegas, which in my opinion is way better because we get to see two teams that haven't been in the finals or haven't been in the finals within like 2 decades. Mostly the Washington Capitals. Now, I always thought Tampa Bay was going to win this. Everyone's like, well, later Washington, because they're going to die from Tampa, let alone because everyone thought that Tampa was going to completely sweep the Washington Capitals, perhaps Game 5 or Game 6, or hell, even 4-0 series sweep. But there was a complete different story with this series. Tampa's been doing so good ever since the start of the season and in the playoffs. They were the biggest team mostly for the most per time of the season, so they had a lot on their mind in the playoffs, mostly because every single series they, I think, ended up playing, like New Jersey or Boston, they ended up beating them in 5, and it's weird to say that because no one really did that for 2 series. Washington, Pittsburgh, they went to a Game 6. What else happened? Vegas and San Jose went to 6 as well. And Nashville and Winnipeg went to 7. But then along comes round 3. Washington's not looking too hot in the playoffs until the series actually starts. They get 2-0, then it goes to 3-2. They force a Game 7 and win the whole series. Now, these are the kind of series in the playoffs that we live for because we never get that comeback feeling for a team, and then it absolutely fails. This was a kind of a back and forth series. First 2-0, then a 3-2, then a 4-3. And it's like no one thought that series was going to be that way. Especially like with how so far ever since around like we haven't had much overtime games or like that much. I mean, we've had like a couple, I guess you could say, in round 2, which to me is so far my favorite round of the playoffs, but the finals could change my opinion on that completely, which will be a whole other different story because the finals is looking good. Now we move on to the Vegas Golden Knights and the Winnipeg Jets series. That took 5. You got Vegas beating the second best team who beat the first best team, which pretty much makes Vegas the best team out of this year, possibly. Now, I think Vegas is going to win the cup, and I do want Vegas to win the cup. But I don't think they're going to win the cup just because I like them. Here's my reason why. You look at the Vegas Golden Knights and their chemistry together, like, so far only within this 1 year. And they've accomplished so much more than Washington has ever done within their years and years and years of actual hockey. And it's crazy to think that a new expansion team from like, I think it was September. You look at the team and you're like, oh, it's a cool team. And they win their first game, like, with scoring 9 goals against the Dallas Stars. And this team shocks you. And it's definitely taken me by surprise that they made it to the finals, let alone beat the Jets in 5. To me, Vegas has something that no other hockey team has. An actual long-awaited underdog story. Now, what I mean by this is that there have been some good underdog stories in the past, such as the San Jose Sharks versus the Pittsburgh Penguins. But when we think about it, Pittsburgh would obviously win because of their chemistry. But Washington's chemistry has been bad. This is the first year within 2 decades that Washington's actually making it back to the finals. And this is Ovechkin's first finals. So, Marc-Andre Fleury, who's been in the finals multiple times, who's with Vegas, is going to have this experience. He's going to know what it's like to be in the finals fighting for the cup, along with James Neal, who was in it last year with Marc-Andre Fleury, but they were on separate teams. James Neal being on the Nashville Predators, Marc-Andre Fleury being on the Pittsburgh Penguins. For as the other guys, it's different because all these other guys are a bunch of rookies who don't get talked about that much. But ever since they showed up on Vegas, they're scoring goals like on every line. Vegas has the perfect team. With Washington, it's a little different. Every time I see a game happen, Ovechkin is always scoring. I think Ovechkin has scored every goal, or at least one goal, almost every playoff game now. It's come to the point where it's insanely scary of how many assists he's also getting now and of how many goals he's getting. It's just crazy how Ovechkin's done this good. But can it come haunt him in the finals? That being said, will he either choke or will he prevail? So that is my full thoughts of this year so far. I will be doing videos after possibly every playoff game, giving my thoughts on it, what I thought of the game, and what aspects could come later on in the series. But I want to know what you guys have to say in the comments. You guys got Washington or Vegas? I'm a Vegas person, so I'm going to go with here. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys later.